Zinc is, I think, probably outside of the B vitamins, the most important nutrient that we'll discuss tonight, because that's where you come into what Dr. Max was talking about with hair loss. You need 15 to 30 milligrams per day. If you take too much, you can have things like diarrhea and even more enhanced hair loss. So it's one of those nutrients you definitely have to regulate. You can get zinc from fish, seafood, pumpkin seeds, fermented soybeans, eggs, legumes, whole grain, wheat germ, wheat bran, brewer's yeast. There are 10 major ingredients that you want to avoid in all of your personal care products. The first one, methyl, propyl, butyl, and ethyl paraben. If it says paraben, let it go. It's used as a microbial growth inhibitor, and it's also used to help extend the shelf life of hair care products and personal care. It can actually cause an allergic reaction and skin rashes. Studies show that there are estrogenic effects to it, so that's where the endocrine disruptors come in. And it can be absorbed in the body through the skin, and they've actually been able to do clinical studies to prove that. DEA, which is dimethylamine, and triethylene, TEA. I bet if you go home right now, look on all your stuff, you'll find at least 3 or 4 things that have it. And it's used to help thicken products. It's also used to help things foam. Just a clue to let you know, foaming does not mean cleaning. Something does not have to foam to be cleaning your head or your body. It's used as a microbial growth inhibitor to extend the shelf life. It can cause eye irritations, and that's why you'll see a lot of products that have DEA and TEA in it. They say make sure if you get it in the eyes, make sure you flush the eyes out. So why would you put that on your head? It can cause cancer-forming nitrosamines when they come in contact with nitrates. This is important because there are all kinds of chemicals that are coming together in your hair care products, and you don't know what those off chemicals are when they're all combined. And there are certain ingredients, which the next 2 we're going to talk about, are nitrate forming. So if you're adding DEA and TEA to something, and then you add the next 2, you're actually creating a known cancer-forming compound. It's toxic if it's absorbed over a long period of time. So you'll hear companies go, oh, such and such is only provided in small doses. Well, how often do we wash our hair? How often do we apply that moisturizer to our hair? So if you're looking at it over a long scope of time, you're getting a lot of exposure. Maybe only for 2 seconds a day you're putting it on the hair. But when you add those 2 seconds up over a lifetime, that's a lot of exposure. Dialyzed urea and immunolized urea is a preservative. It's just to preserve the product. And you'll see that also in a lot of the products that are on the market. It's the primary cause of contact dermatitis. So if you are using a product that has urea in it and you're having constant dandruff, stop using the product because you're using an ingredient that actually causes contact dermatitis or the drying and flaking of skin. It's also called in a lot of European products Germol 111 and Germol 115. It also can release formaldehyde, so the stuff we use to embalm people we're also creating on our head. So that makes a lot of sense. The 4th one is my favorite. I have this argument at least several times a day. Sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium lauryl sulfate. That's the stuff that makes your shampoo foam, makes your toothpaste foam, and makes your facial cleanser foam. It feels good, doesn't it? Let me tell you, it's a harsh detergent. So if you're constantly having drying skin, try using a product that doesn't have sodium lauryl sulfate in it and see how your skin may possibly change in its reaction. It's used because it's cheap. But let me tell you a secret. When they're making the product that has sodium lauryl sulfate, according to the material safety data sheet, they actually have to wear a mask and goggles. So granted, you're getting it in small doses over a long period of time. Whoever was making it is working in it every day and has to wear a mask and goggles. That's the safety standard set by the USDA. It can cause eye irritation, which is why they always tell you to rinse your eyes out if you read the back of your shampoo. It can cause scalp scurf, which is similar to dandruff, but it's usually when your scalp kind of just lifts up. Like you'll see the dandruff kind of stick to the hair. That's actually scalp scurf. Petroleum. Everybody knows you get in a fight, what's the first thing you're going to put on? Take your earrings off first. And you got to put on the Vaseline, also known as petroleum jelly. It's actually a byproduct of oil refineries. So when they put the oil in your car, the byproduct is now going on your body. There is petroleum in all products in Walmart right now. There is petroleum or a petroleum derivative. So when they're fighting over oil, we're talking about the price of oil, just remember that when you're putting it on your head. It coats the skin and it doesn't allow the skin to breathe. So there's an interaction that's supposed to go on with the skin and the atmosphere. That's how you get nutrients. That's how you get vitamin D. So now you slather on petroleum jelly, and now you've created where you can't get moisture, you can't get air, and you can't get vitamin D to your skin. It also gives a false sense that the skin is being moisturized because all it does is coat the skin. So when you feel it, you're actually feeling the petroleum jelly. You're not actually feeling your skin. And if you were to look at your dermis layer in a microscope, you would just see this film right on top of the skin until you actually use a cleanser with sodium lauryl sulfate to strip it down. Propylene glycol can be made from vegetable glycerin and grain alcohol, but is often a synthetic petrochemical mix due to its cheaper cost. It acts as a humectant or a way to wick or draw water from the atmosphere, and it causes allergic reactions, hives, and eczema. Propylene glycol. You having a chemistry lesson today.
Otherwise known as antifreeze.
Yeah. So it helps to draw moisture from the air into the skin, causes allergic reactions. There's also an ingredient you'll see called PEG, which is called polyethylene glycol, and there's also PPG, which is polypropylene glycol, that are related synthetics. So if you see any of those, and sometimes you'll see just PG for propylene glycol. It's usually more European products. Number 7, you find a lot in conditioners. That's stericolium chloride. It's developed by the fabric industry as a fabric softener. Now think about what your hair conditioner does. It's supposed to help make your hair softer. How does fabric softener make fabrics feel soft?
Breaks down.
Exactly. It breaks down the layers in a way that not to do any increased damage at that time, but to slowly break down those fibers so they feel softer, feel fluffy. That's what it's doing to your hair. It's also found in creams to soften the skin, and it's used because it's cheaper than proteins and herbals, but it can actually cause allergic reactions. My favorite is synthetic colors. You'll see that as FD&C or FD and followed by a number. They're almost always, if they're in an FD&C or FD combination, they're almost always synthetic. Any color that you use can possibly have up to 300 different chemicals just to make that singular color. So though it doesn't list those 300 different chemicals, you're still getting those 300 different chemicals when you're looking at a singular color. It's approved, it's known to be a carcinogen or cancer causing. PVP or PVA copolymer. It's a byproduct of making plastics. It's petroleum derived, and it's found in hairsprays, styling aids, cosmetics. It's used to make the hair appear shiny. It does not penetrate the hair, it coats the hair. So everybody remembers that blue and silver can when you got your hair permed, and you had to hold your face like this because you didn't like the smell. There's a reason, because it had a plastic polymer in it coating your hair. And that's why when you kept putting stuff onto the hair, it kind of just slide on the hair or slip. It wouldn't actually penetrate the hair. They can be toxic if inhaled. It can damage the lungs of sensitive people, those with asthma, bronchitis, lupus, sarcoidosis, immune deficiencies, etc. And the last one is synthetic colors. Synthetic fragrances, sorry. Fragrance, perfume, and perfumes can have as many as 200 chemicals to make one scent. They can cause dizziness, rash, hyperpigmentation, violent coughing, skin irritation, and the list goes on.